Most high performers are aging faster than they realize, not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because they're running their most important asset they own with no data, no structure, and more importantly, no strategy. You wouldn't do that with your business, but you're doing it to your body every single day. Hi, I'm Grant Hutchby and welcome to Longevity Masters. This show is built on one simple mission, and that's to help as many people as possible reclaim as many years of peak performance as they possibly can. Not just add years to their life, but add life to their years, to live better, longer. That's what this is all about. And here's the thing, your body runs exactly like a business. It has departments, teams, systems, staff. And when those systems aren't managed, when there's no data, no timing, no structure, the body does exactly what a mismanaged business does. It declines slowly until you can't ignore it anymore. The difference between a business that compounds and a business that collapses isn't effort, it's management and leadership. The same principle applies here. Now, the metric I use to measure all of this is called bio-age index. And this is the first unified biological age score of its kind. It takes data from your wearables, your body composition, your cells, and more importantly, your behaviors. And for the first time, it brings them together into one simple number, the age at which you actually operate, not your chronological age, your real biological age right now. No other system uses these platforms and unifies them together into one score. This is the first. That number tells you the truth, and most people don't even know it. If you want to find out what we estimate yours to be, there's a free diagnostics quiz at turnback-time.com. It takes 5 minutes. It gives you an estimated biological age based on your current behaviors. No bloods, no devices, just honest answers. And the moment you see that number, everything changes. Because here's what the system promises. Fix the behaviors over 12 weeks and the biology follows. From a behavioral standpoint, the system is designed to reclaim 10 years of biological age in just 12 weeks, not through extreme intervention, through structure, timing, and the right stimulus applied in the right order. And that brings me to the principle that sits at the core of everything I teach. It's not just about what you do. It's about when you do it. Timing is everything. Most performance advice tells you what to do. Eat this, train like this, sleep more, but none of it accounts for when. And when you understand when, the whole system changes. Your body operates on rhythms. And when those rhythms are aligned, everything compounds. When they're broken, nothing works the way that it should. That's the mechanism. And the turn back time system is the first system ever built for high performers around this principle. Structured as a pyramid, built specifically around longevity and designed not just around what you do, but when you do it. There's nothing else like it. Now, this show is where I bring the full system to you. By session, by framework, everything you're about to watch is what I teach inside the 12-week program. I'm putting it out here so that the mission has reach. The more people who get this information, the more years we can collectively reclaim. If you're new here, go back and start on the previous sessions. Each session builds on the last. The system has an order for a reason. You'll get far more from this episode if you've watched what came before it. So if you're already with me, let's go. You're exactly where you need to be. Now, let's dive into this week's session. Most owners and executives train, but almost none of them adapt. There is a difference between moving your body and stimulating it to grow. One is maintenance and the other is stimulus. And without the right stimulus, your body has no reason to change. This is training adaptation. It's the framework inside our system that tells us how to signal the body to grow. We are inside the clean department, and this is like the marketing department of your body. And just like a good marketing department, it does not just maintain your pipeline, but it actively stimulates growth. And this cycle does the same for your biology. And by the end of this session, you will have the formula, the model, and a framework you can use to really train and adapt. So let's get into it. Most business owners aren't lacking effort. They're just not sending the right signal. So they train, but nothing really changes. And today fixes that. So here's what we're covering. First, why most training doesn't create adaptation, because effort alone isn't enough. The body only responds to the right stimulus. Second, the two systems that actually drive growth: strength and endurance, structure and engine. You need both. Third is how to manage testosterone and endorphins. These are the drivers behind those systems. Get these right and everything improves. Number 4 is why intention and intensity change everything. Go in with a plan, execute properly, push to the right level. That's where adaptation happens. And finally, you leave with the clarity, not more information, but knowing exactly what to do this week. By the end of this session, you'll stop training just to feel busy, just to go to the gym, and start training to actually improve your body. So training adaptation is not complicated. It is two things: strength, your ability to produce force, and endurance, your ability to sustain output. That's it. Everything we're doing today builds on one or both. Strength is your protection from the outside, your muscle, your armor, the structure that protects you from falls, from injury, from physical decline. Think of it as the body's external defense system. When it's strong, you're protected. Endurance is your protection from the inside, your heart, your engine, your capacity to sustain effort over time. When your endurance is weak, everything feels harder. Work, decisions, presence, recovery. When it's strong, you operate at a whole different level. So there's two systems, two types of protection, and we measure them with two numbers. Grip test for strength, because grip isn't just your forearms and your hands, it's your systemic strength, the force that you can put through your body. Next is VO2 max for endurance. Both move your bio-age index in the right or the wrong direction, and both are non-negotiable. Build both or you expose your system to decline. Here is what the failure state looks like. You're putting the work in, you're moving, you might even be training regularly, but nothing is adapting, nothing's changing, nothing's improving. And you don't really notice this day by day, but you notice it over a longer period of time when nothing really changes. And you think, God, I've been trying so hard, but it's just not changing, it's not moving. And the points I want to make here is that grip strength is one of the single strongest predictors of how long you'll live. This starts declining in your 30s, and without the right stimulus, it will continue to decline. But you can change this, it's changeable. And VO2 max drops by roughly 1% a year after the age of 40 if you don't train specifically for it. So testosterone falls, endorphins fall, which is the reward system, and that tells you whether you're doing the right stuff. And here is the painful part. You can be sweating, you can be busy, you can be putting in the work, putting in the effort, but your body doesn't respond to just effort. It responds to signal and stimulus. And most high performers are sending the wrong signal. The question is not whether you're working hard enough. The question is, are you sending a signal that stimulates the body to grow? That is what we're fixing today. And the formula here that we'll teach you about is intention plus intensity equals improvement. So up to this point, we've been fixing the system: sleep, recovery, regulation, inflammation. That was not the warm-up. That was the foundation your body needed before it could accept any real training stimulus. Here's why the order matters. Your body cannot adapt to training if it's dysregulated, inflamed, or even under-recovered. Sleep comes first, always. Now, with that foundation in place, we complete the picture. There are 3 levers that move your bio-age index, your biological age, faster than anything else. Sleep, which we've already built, strength, which we're introducing today, and VO2 max, which we're also introducing today. This is the big session, because if you haven't done all the stuff before, this will mean nothing. And here is something I want you to understand about why the heart matters so much here. If the clean cycle is your marketing department, your heart is the chief marketing officer. It controls how much demand your system can actually handle. And if that is underdeveloped, nothing else scales. Marketing exists for one reason: to stimulate growth. That is what this cycle does in your body. Signal creates the stimulus, and stimulus creates the adaptation. Ask yourself one thing really honestly. Over the last 6 weeks, has your body been receiving genuine growth stimulus? Not movement, not activity, a deliberate signal that forces adaptation. This is what we're building from here. And the older you are, the more important this is. So your body is your oldest asset. And like any asset, it either compounds or it depreciates. These 2 staff members determine which direction it goes. Inside the campaigns team, you have 2 staff running your training response. Your performance manager, which is testosterone, it takes physical stimulus and converts it into structure, muscle, bone density, grip strength, cognitive edge. Your growth analyst is endorphins. It creates the reward signal that makes training sustainable and drives your VO2 max, your cardiovascular ceiling. It goes upwards over time. And here's the most important thing to understand. We're not training for grip and VO2. We're training to drive the hormones that create them. Testosterone rises when you apply resistance at the right intensity. Endorphins rise when effort reaches the right intensity and consistency. The KPIs are the proof the system is working, not the target. So, do you know your current grip test? Do you know how many kilos you can put through your body? Do you know your VO2 max, how well you process oxygen? If not, those are the two numbers that you need to find out. You cannot manage what you don't measure. And that's why this system is so important, because we measure the things that are the most important to your longevity. So you cannot manage what you do not build. And most owners and executives are trying to manage a structure they stopped building years ago. So testosterone, as we've mentioned before, is your performance manager. It takes resistance training, the stimulus, and converts it into muscle, bone density, grip strength, and cognitive sharpness. But here's the critical point. Testosterone does not maintain itself. It responds to signal. Testosterone rises when you apply resistance at the right intensity. So you give it that stimulus and it builds. Stop sending the signal and guess what? It declines. Less drive, less edge in your decisions, less presence in the room. These are the signs that this staff member is not getting what it needs. Your body only builds what you ask it to build, and the stimulus is the way that you ask. So when did you last do a resistance session or a strength session that took you to genuine mechanical failure? Not discomfort, actual mechanical failure, the last clean rep that you could actually perform. If you cannot answer that quickly, the performance manager has not been getting the signal. Some high performers feel flat, even when things are going well in the business. Energy is there, but the drive to train is not. This is the staff member going quiet. So endorphins are your growth analyst. They create the reward signal your body releases after you've produced effort. They reduce the perception of pain. They make you want to come back tomorrow. And critically, endorphins rise with intensity and consistency. Light and movement give a small signal. Zone 2 cardio gives you a sustained one, and high intensity gives you a peak. VO2 max is the report card. It's the long-term metric that tells you if the growth analyst is doing its job. Every session adds to it. Stop showing up consistently and the ceiling starts to drop. Notice how you feel the day after a strong training session versus a day that you skipped. That difference is the growth analyst reporting in. Are you giving enough for it to work with? And that's the point. You need that reward signal back for everything to push forward. So a lot of people think that more training time means better results. It does not. It's not the time. It has never been the amount of time. It's about the timing and the signal quality. And signal without stimulus is just noise. A conclusive study on all-cause mortality compared 3 levels of exercise intensity. You've got light activity, moderate, and vigorous. Moderate was 4 times more potent than light at reducing all-cause mortality. And vigorous, here we go, was up to 60 times more potent than light exercise. 60 times. As a business decision, if you had a marketing campaign converting 60 times better than another, you would redirect every resource that you had toward it today. This is the difference between signal and stimulus. Signal is the quality of what you send. Stimulus is what that signal forces the body to do. Signal without stimulus is just noise. The minimum effective dose, so 1 resistance session to failure, 2 vigorous efforts, exercise snacks, and A zone 2 session can be considered vigorous exercise, just 70% to your maximum heart rate. You do not need more time. You just need a better signal. So stop walking around all day thinking that your endurance and your strength and your capacity is going to get better, and actually give it the dose and the signal that it needs. Look at your last week's training, honestly. Where did most of it sit? Was it light exercise, like just walking around casually? Was it moderate exercise, so maybe an incline walk or a hike or a leisurely cycle? Or was it vigorous exercise, so a nice zone 2 run or zone 2 exercise or a HIIT session or a strength session? The answer in this tells you exactly what signal you're sending your body and what it's going to do with it. So before we talk about how hard to train, we need to talk about how deliberately you train, because there's a version of intensity that builds you and a version that quietly breaks you. They look the same from the outside, but they're not the same when you put it together. So intention is the motor principle. It means going into every session with a specific target, controlled movement, the right stimulus to the right system, full range of motion, full focus on what you're doing. The opposite is ego, lifting as heavy as you can and hoping that something adapts. Junk volume. It looks like training, it feels like hard work, but it returns very little and raises injury risk significantly. The test is simple. If you're thinking about how you look during an exercise rather than what it's doing to your body, that is ego, not intention. Intention comes first. The signal has to be clean, it has to be right before you raise the intensity. Now, again, think about your last session. Were you training with intention or with ego? Now, think about it. It's an answer. It's not a comfortable answer, but you might need to drop that weight, lose the ego, and get the movement right. Intensity is not about pain. It's not about how much weight you can move. It's about reaching a very specific point. And most people either stop short of it or blow past it into injury. For strength training, the target is mechanical muscular failure, the last rep that you can complete with really good form. The moment the muscle genuinely cannot produce another quality contraction. This is where adaptation lives. It's not 2 reps before it, and it's not 3 reps past it with poor form. What it is, it's exactly at the point where you can't do any more with perfect form. And if you finish a set and think you could have done more, you didn't train, you maintained. For endurance, the same logic applies. Zone 2 builds the base, and zone 4 and 5 raises the ceiling. Train to the edge, not over it. And you will learn how to do this for your own body the more and more you try to do it. The most important thing, get the form right, then push the intensity. The moment you cross from intensity to injury, you have cancelled your campaign and you won't be able to run it until you've recovered again. So pick one exercise this week, one set, take it to mechanical failure with clean, controlled form. Notice where you actually land versus where you thought your limit was. So most owners and executives sit in one of 2 camps. They only do slow, steady cardio and their ceiling never moves. Or they only go hard and their base is too shallow to sustain it. Both are incomplete and both are gaps in the system. Your cardiovascular system has 2 engines. Zone 2 is the base engine, steady effort where you can hold a conversation, but you're working. 30 to 45 minutes builds the mitochondrial machinery that produces energy at a cellular level. Ideally, you build this up to about 90 minutes per week. The deeper this base, the more sustainable everything else above it becomes. Zone 4 and 5 are the peak engine. This is where your VO2 max ceiling lives. High intensity efforts that push the system to its limit and force the ceiling higher. You need both. The base makes the peaks sustainable, and the peaks stop the base from plateauing. Miss either, and you have a structural gap. 90% of people over the age of 35 never sprint again. Now, if you don't use it, you lose it. So, which engine are you currently neglecting? Is it one or even both? Zone 2 or zones 4 and 5? Which ones? Name it honestly, think of it in your head, and then schedule one session of the missing engine this week. So, training at random times gives random results. Training at the same time every day gives compounding results. The difference is the body's clock. Exercise is one of the three primary inputs that set your circadian rhythm. Light, we've already covered, food, we've already covered, and now we've got movement. And these are the things that get your body in rhythm. When you train at the same time daily, your body prepares for the stimulus before it arrives. Hormones are primed, recovery cycles align. The session becomes more effective because the timing is consistent and expected by your body. This is the clean cycle, honoring the foundation that your fixed cycle has built. Randomize it and the signal weakens. Lock it in and the signal compounds. And this is where things get really powerful. So, what time will your training sessions happen this week? Not approximately, specifically. Open your calendar right now and block the slot before it moves on, and make sure it's the same time every single day. So this is your operating system now. Screenshot it, save it, use it every week. And if you're listening in, take notes or go and watch the YouTube video. The formula is simple. Intention plus intensity equals improvement. Plan it, execute it, push it. That applies equally to strength training and endurance training. The principle doesn't change. Only the application of it does. On the strength side, 2 to 3 sessions per week and all of your sets to failure. Every muscle group has got to be covered, and just do extra on the muscles that are weaker for you. Everyone has different balances, so just focus on those weaker areas, but make sure you cover all muscle groups weekly. And then all you need is 1 to 3 working sets that are controlled and not rushed. So if you're beginning, if you're just starting out, 1 set to failure will be enough. If you're a little bit more advanced on your training, then you might need a bit more volume to stimulate that growth. But no one really needs more than 3 sets to true mechanical failure. On the endurance side, you've got building your base. So you need to do ideally 60 plus minutes weekly of zone 2 training. That's where you can hold a conversation. It's the boring stuff, the repetitive stuff, but that builds your base. Then you've got your peak, and you need to be doing 15 to 20 minutes of high intensity effort. And that's your zone 4 and zone 5 training, where you're sort of 80 to 85% of your peak heart rate. And then we have exercise snacks. Now, exercise snacks can help with both endurance and strength, but it's just about breaking up your day. Remember what we said about the vigorous exercise versus light exercise. This is like doing, if you did a minute worth of air squats, that is like going for a walk for 1 hour. So bear that in mind. bear in mind that those little bits of extra stuff that you do can have a massive impact on your strength, your endurance, and ultimately your longevity and your biological age. So what I'd like you to do is just pick 3 actions before you leave this session, or at least one from each side, strength or endurance, that you're not doing at the moment. Lock them in the calendar, and just remember, the understanding without action is just information. I'm giving you the information here, but you've got to take action. So this is your test. So anyone listening on, if you're driving, just think it in your head, or if you're watching along, or you're not doing anything else, feel free to write your answers down. But this is the pop quiz. Question 1, if movement maintains, what does training do? Number 2, what is the training adaptation formula? Number 3, in strength training, what causes growth? Question 4, what 2 numbers tell you that your body is improving? And then number 5, what 2 types of training must you do to stimulate endurance? So number 1, if movement maintains, what does training do? And the answer here, stimulates growth. Simple as that. Number 2, what is the training adaptation formula? That is intention plus intensity equals improvement. Number 3, in strength training, what causes growth? That's mechanical failure with good form. Then number 4, what 2 numbers tell you your body is improving? Grip strength and VO2 max. And then last but not least, what 2 types of training must you do to stimulate endurance? And that's zone 2, build the base, and HIIT or zone 4 and 5 training, which is building your peak. And just remember, training with intention and then adapt with intensity. So it's always intention first. So now we've built the signal to stimulate growth. And next, we're going to start compounding it. In the clean cycle, we fixed the order. First, we had the brand team, which was the session before this. We regulated the system. We talked about daily movement and how we reset our nervous system ready for growth, because you can't run any campaigns without a stable foundation, without a good brand. Then today, we had the campaigns team. This is where we actually stimulated the growth. We sent the signal to your body that it needs to adapt. Now we're going to move next session into the build cycle. This is the sales department, and this is where everything starts to compound. And the first team inside the build cycle, or the sales department, is the acquisitions team. This is your ultradian rhythm. And this is about how you use your energy across the day. It's not just rhythm, but rhythm with variety, with variation. So the next session, we dial it in. How you work, how you reset, how you stay at your peak performance consistently. So it absolutely starts to compound. So I'll see you next time. And just remember, be young, be happy, and be free, people.